Hey guys, just got prepped for pouring a garage slab here. Thought I'd show you guys what I did. So here's my future garage slab. This was quite a large hole here. We had a tree and some roots we had to dig out, so I brought in almost 2 feet of gravel in here. And there's different types of gravel you can get. They call this commercial. It has round rocks and some broken stuff, but it's a little bit more of a round, and they also have like 3/4 inch minus. So 3/4 inch minus is fractured up and they're more triangular shapes, and if you're doing a driveway, the triangular shapes are better because they lock down and you driving back and forth over it doesn't cause them to get stirred up as much. But for underneath concrete, you know, you're going to pack it and then you'll put concrete over it, and nothing's going to be rubbing against the surface to get it stirred up. So you can go with this little bit cheaper type of gravel here. So this, in our area, they call this commercial. So that's what I put underneath here, and it's pretty cheap. It was what, $230 for 24 yards. And I put 48 yards in here, so quite a lot. My first, they call it a lift. I brought in enough gravel to bring it up to the tops of the hills of dirt, so it was all one level. Then I went around with a compactor. A plate compactor, I got the biggest one. Having reverse on that is a big plus. Because the thing's about 350 pounds, putting down about 7,100 pounds of force in compaction on there. It's really nice to be able to do reverse on there and back yourself out of the corners and such, because trying to man that thing around, it can be a little bit difficult. So I compacted it, and then I'd bring it up a little bit more, about a foot each time, compact it. When I got to the surface, I was having to compact it quite a bit because I put lines on here where, I don't know if you guys can see those blue chalk lines there. One line is the top of concrete, the one you see there. The other line is right at the top of gravel. And I used a long board to drag it this way towards the entrance of the garage to get it on one level, and then I'd compact it, and it would sink a couple inches here or there, and then I'd do it again until it stopped sinking. And now it's like rock hard. You can tell when you get to compaction, because the plate compactor, before it kind of bounces along, but it's the pressure is being absorbed, so it doesn't really lift off the ground much. It's more just pushing the ground down. But when you get to full compaction, the plate compactor will actually start hopping off the ground a little bit, and that's when you know you got a really good compaction. So I went around this thing like 12 times. Most people would do more like 3 or 4 times, but I wanted to make sure my concrete doesn't crack, or at least as little as possible. So when I laid out my lines, I measured down from my back wall 6 1/4 inches, but at the front wall I went 9 1/4 inches, so I have 3 inches of fall. You want some slope so that when you drive into your garage, all the snow melts off your car or something and it'll actually drain out. Or you can hose out your garage if you want to do that. But concrete's not perfect. When they float this out, you know, there's going to be little dips and deviations in there. So you want it some decent fall. That's why I did at least, I'd say at least 3 inches. Otherwise, the deviations are going to be more than your fall, and you'll still get some puddles forming in there. So that's what I did. And then I put down a vapor barrier. You can, if you want, put your vapor barrier under your last 2 inches of gravel. That's to help protect it once the concrete guys are walking along out here. I was actually kind of thinking about that, but I forgot at the last minute, so this works too. It's not a problem. And then I tied up my rebar. These are on 2.5 to 3 foot centers. I did 3/8 rebar on here. I tied every other one just to kind of lock it in place so when they're moving around. I also did with some thicker 1/2-inch rebar. I ran them at my garage doors straight into the concrete and bent them over like this. Sometimes what I've seen is you get moisture coming in under your slab from the outside, and then that freezes and thaws and you get frost heave, and right at the doors you can get this kind of undulating, and then your door doesn't come down square and it can be a problem. So I put these in to lock my slab down into my foundation wall, which is underneath here, kind of jogs around out here. So yeah, we should have concrete coming in the morning. I put up these forms. They're right at the top of concrete or future concrete, so that they can drag right along there. I'll also show you guys the stairs that I formed up. I think it's very easy to underestimate the force that concrete can put on a wall when you add up the square footage. So I've tried to brace these pretty good. I'm sure I could have braced them a little bit more, but I think this will be pretty good. You guys can see how I kind of locked in. These boards would just bow out like balloons when you get concrete in there, so I set it up like this to lock those in, put in as many stakes as possible. And if you want to save yourself some on concrete, you can just throw any kind of solid material. Got some metal in here also. I also, to lock this in with the old steps, I drilled in 6, 8 rebars to lock that together in the different dimensions there. Our old steps were quite steep, so we're pouring some 7-inch by 11. That's like your most comfortable stair to walk up. So I put those in here, and then we have a little bit more of a landing, so you have a little bit more room up at the top. I'll also show you some of these catch basins. You know, I was looking around for catch basins that you can buy, and there's not a whole lot of options. You can buy little short ones, but I wanted something, you know, I got quite a bit of fall. My drainage comes around here. I got a French drain, but these are actually for my downspouts. You know, I got a downspout pipe over there sticking up. But every once in a while I wanted to have a catch basin, and basically, I don't know if you guys can see it. Oh, there you go. I'm going to pour concrete in the bottom of this, and then the pipes, it'll flow between there, and that bottom pipe that you see below those 2 little in and outlets, that's actually my French drain pipe, and that's completely separate from this piping system at this point. And then I'll just pour 1.5 to 2 inches of concrete around here, and then these will be sacrificial forms. I'll just leave this one in the ground. I'll bust out the inside one and pull it out, and then I'll show you guys how I finish this out later, but I'll put a little grid on here, and then I'm going to have 2 downspouts feeding into this right off this corner. For the other ones, I just did your little standard squares. This is leftover drain rock here. I'll cover this up with dirt. That was for my French drain, so this is what I did for the other downspouts. But I think catch basins is one of the better ways to do downspouts, because any leaves and debris will get caught kind of in the bottom there, and you can dig it out instead of it clogging your pipes. It also gives you an inlet if you want to run a drain snake through it. You can it's an easy entrance to go in like both directions, where, you know, one of those pipes, it'd be a little hard to run that down and decide which way the drain snake's gonna run out. Also, catch basins, there's a better chance of there being a leak there, and we get water in our basement down there, so I'm trying to seal all this up, and all that water coming down from the downspouts, I don't want to get into my drainage system. And that's one of the reasons I did it separately from the French drain that I have running along here, because you don't want to run your downspouts into your French drain, because basically you're pumping all that water into the ground, and the whole purpose is to get it away from the ground so that it doesn't migrate into your basement. Now over this catch basin, I join the two. So here you can see two pipes coming in. Bottom one's the French drain, top one's the downspouts, and the one on the right is the pipe that will go out through this ditch and eventually go out to the ditch in the road. But there's enough fall here that the water coming out of the downspouts can't go back up the French drain because we're low enough at this point. And that's one of the reasons I made these custom catch basins, because I couldn't buy anything that's like 6 feet deep, or well, I guess this is more like 4 feet deep, and I really needed that in order to get the amount of fall that I had going on. Hey guys, so fast forward 1.5 years here, let's do an update. So here's kind of what these catch basins look like. So this is like actually a riser that for a plastic catch basin that you can buy. It's rated for a car to run over it. You can get these on Amazon. Comes with a plastic lid. It is rated for a car to run over it, but not necessarily a large truck, so I wouldn't put these in your driveway. So here's the house. It's looking much different. And my slab I'm super impressed with. It hasn't settled a bit, no cracks. Still haven't got the garage doors up, but the slab is, couldn't be happier. This I need to clean up a little bit, but once again, another catch basin. I'll show a little footage now of them pouring the concrete. You could do this yourself, but you'd want to have all the right float tools and everything. And concrete dries pretty quick, and we're using an accelerator in here. So I'm going with a six sack concrete with the fiber mixed in. The fiber just helps kind of with the surface cracks, not major cracks. Those would happen anyway. The rebar keeps the major cracks from settling, and you know how when you get a crack, one side of the crack could be like, you know, 1/4 inch higher than the other side of the crack, so the rebar holds that together, but the cracks will happen anyway. So as far as concrete work, I prefer to hire guys, just because, you know, you got a lot of money into the concrete and it's drying quickly and you have to get it right the first time, and I don't want to be messing with that as a DIYer. So that's my recommendation. So I'll show you guys some footage of them pouring it here. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you want to see this project progress and see this addition go up, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys next time.